It's your girl, the Grown Woman Gamer, and today I'm going to be going over last night's game. We're just going to do a brief recap. I'm going to give you a few of my thoughts, and then I'm going to go over whether or not I was right with my predictions for what would happen in the first night of the play-in tournament. Now, before we get into that, you know what you need to do to support your girl. Subscribe to the channel, like this video, hit the notification bell, comment whether you agree with me or not, and do not forget to share if you care. So let's jump right into it, and we'll start with the Cleveland Cavaliers versus the Brooklyn Nets. Now, I did predict that they would win. I think most people thought that they would win, but I want to say that the Cleveland Cavaliers put forth a valiant effort. They did extremely well. They played with so much heart. And like I said, they have absolutely everything to be proud of because no one expected them to be in this position. Now, I do believe that it's going to be a really interesting series, the Nets versus the Boston Celtics. It's hard to call it. I had a conversation with someone who jumped into my comments, and they were saying that the Boston Celtics are a lock to win because they have been extremely effective on offense and doing amazingly on defense, and that they predict that Kevin Durant is going to be sitting at a podium in a post-game interview talking about we'll get him next year, guys. But we shall see. No surprises in this game at all. Exactly what most people thought would happen did happen. The Nets won, and they handily managed that game and were in control throughout all four quarters. Now, the more interesting game of the night was exactly what I had predicted. I thought that the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Clippers game would be a really tightly contested game throughout. Now, I did weight Minnesota to win the game, but my pick was for LA because I thought that the Clippers were going to play more of a chess game with the Minnesota Timberwolves, and that's precisely what they did. They got a lot of the more important players in foul trouble very early on, particularly Karl Anthony Towns, who honestly didn't really seem like he had his head in the game. And I guess prior to the game, he was very braggadocious and saying that they were going to dominate. Now, they did end up winning, but he fouled out of the game. He was not very effective at all on offense, and he just wasn't really playing within himself. He was forcing the issue, and he ended up getting some offensive fouls that exacerbated the problems that he was already having on defense. And Paul George and everyone else on the Clippers was really selling these fouls and got the man out the game. By the time I think that they were in the first couple of minutes in the fourth quarter, he was already on the bench. And perhaps the intensity of the moment and some of the other things that may be going on behind the scenes, I think today marks the 2-year anniversary of his mother's passing. He just didn't seem to be in the flow, and he had an off night. Hopefully when he comes back in that series versus Memphis, he can kind of regain his composure, embrace the moment, and let the game come to him. But D'Angelo Russell had a remarkable game, and this is something I did predict correctly. Back when I used to watch the Brooklyn Nets before Kyrie and KD were there, most of you will remember that D'Angelo Russell was one of the better players on that team, arguably one of the best players on that team back when he was on the Nets. And one thing about D'Angelo Russell, which is very interesting, is that during the regular season, he's a pretty muted player. Here and there, he'll have standout games, but something about an intense moment that has a lot of pressure makes this young man rise to the occasion. And I've seen him do things in moments where it really counts, and that's worth a lot. And I just knew that coming into this game, he was going to play at a high level because that's what he does in moments like this. Patrick Beverly is not a player that I like because I've seen him do things where he looked like he was trying to injure players, and I'm of the opinion that there's no place for this in the game. I know basketball has its dirty workers, and it's great to have a player like that on the team who is an agitator, who can kind of get people out of their game, get people in foul trouble, provoke people to get technical fouls, and he played really well. I have to take my hat off to him. He puts up stats that don't really show up on the stat line in terms of how he's able to take the opposing team out of their offense. And he made some really important steals and helped to keep the Minnesota Timberwolves motivated and on track even when they were playing a little bit from behind. But they won the game. So now as far as predictions go, I'm 1 for 1. I was right about the Nets, wrong about the Minnesota Timberwolves. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like this video, comment, and let me know your thoughts on last night's play-in tournament games. I will be back tonight streaming, playing 2K while I'm watching tonight's games, likely the game between the Hawks and the Charlotte Hornets. I will be back later today as well with my predictions for that game, as well as the game versus the Spurs versus the New Orleans Pelicans. I appreciate you guys and all of your support for the channel. Thank you so much again for helping me to get my channel to 200 subscribers, and I will be back soon. Take care, guys. I'm out.